What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Diesel Creek. My name's Matt. I'm sure that most of you will remember I'm actually in the process of building my dream shop, if you will. It's been a long time coming, but it's a project that I'm quite excited to really get going on here. So I've been working on it in between the raindrops and doing what I can when I can. So it's been a bit hard to film chronologically here. So if the video jumps around a little bit, I apologize for that. I'm just having to film, like I said, when the opportunity arises. I'm trying to get this done. I'm kind of under a time crunch here as the people that are building the building for me want to get going on this thing. And of course, I want it put up as soon as possible as well. So I'm really just trying to give her all the way here and get this accomplished. So right now, I'm gonna go jump on the bulldozer and strip some topsoil. Let's get to it. All right, things are getting exciting. Things are actually happening now. I've got a truck following me down the driveway right now that's got all my trusses on it. So things are finally coming together. I should have recorded it, but I spent the last day and a half here prepping the whole place out to accept this delivery because I wasn't really prepared for it. I didn't expect to take delivery of any materials for a while yet, but you know, we're getting them in here now while we can. Look at those beauties. So these are what's called a scissor truss, which after the building's built is going to give me a lot more interior height. Apparently that's how that works. All right, well, we threw some cribbing underneath there. We missed the one on the tail. And yeah, the rest of it's pretty much just sitting in the dirt, which I'm not a fan of. So I'm gonna take yonder skiddy there and lift up the trusses and slide some cribbing underneath them because they're probably gonna sit here for another month or so. And I don't want them laying in the mud like they are. That's not good for anything. All right, well, new construction is the type of construction that I have the least amount of experience with, so if there's some certain way you're supposed to crib up trusses, I don't know it. I was just jamming them under there, trying to get them pretty well supported all the way across. Looks pretty good. If I did something majorly wrong, drop a comment, let me know, I'll fix it. Hopefully these trusses aren't sitting here more than a month. I need all the frost to come out of the ground at this point so that I can continue building the pad. But these are the trusses that are going to make up my building. Like I said, I'm pretty excited because it feels like something's actually happening and we're actually going to have a building. It's all setting into reality now. So I'm going to get a shovel here and get some of the snow away from these things. And then the builder's supposed to come out later today and get them covered up. Alrighty, well, check that out. We have got all the snow cleared off, and the reason I did that is because I'm trying to build this pad here for the shop as quick as possible. The builder was out here today and he covered up my trusses that we already set down over there, and he was telling me that we're looking like, you know, mid-March to early April is kind of the window where they have me on the schedule. So I need to get cracking on this thing, and I need the frost to come out of the ground as quick as possible. So we have a few warm days coming, so I cut the snow all off of it and everything, let the sun hit on that dirt. Hopefully I can get all the frost out of the ground and let some of the water run off of it. I have it all slicked so that the water all runs down off over the hill there. So down here in the little gully, man, you can really see the water just flying out of this thing now. As the sun beats on it, everything's thawing out. And it's like letting go the floodgates. So here's another little finger that just started running out over this way. And I slicked off everything in line so that it's all pointing downhill, and hopefully the water sheds off of it nicely. This is where I wanted to get it before the weather hit it the first time and froze. It's not perfect. There's a big stump hole up there that I'm gonna have to dig it out completely and pack it in with the good material. But as you can see, this is perfect conditions for, you know, putting a building on top of, right? So I cut this little drain in here from that big stump hole. Hopefully this dries out a bit over the next couple days. And then maybe if it dries out enough, I can get the big smooth drum roller and we'll static roll it a bit just to seal it up for right now until the weather dries it out enough to where I can cut the topsoil. last night. Good Lord. Oh, that road's flooded over there. All right, guys, well, I got the phone call. It is officially crunch time. They want to start building my building, not this coming week, but the Monday after, which sounds like, oh, you got plenty of time. But I got to work with the weather. It just rained all night out here. It's a complete swamp, as you just saw in the clip before this. We got a little bit of rain, all right? There's actually flooding. That's how much rain we got. So you can't build a building on soft ground. It's just going to have tons of problems. So I gotta wait until this dries out enough. Hopefully I still have the window to do that with the weather, but what I can do today is start bringing in tons of rock here, and I'm just gonna start staging piles of rock along my driveway, because I'm gonna put the same rock that's on my driveway all the way around the building so that you can actually work in here without just getting mired in it. But I'm gonna start staging piles out because you can never have enough rock down here. And yeah, just trying to find something constructive to do with my time today, since I have some. Once I get enough big rock brought in here for what I want to do, there's some places along the driveway that have settled out a little bit and got some low standing water in it, so I'm gonna put some rock in those spots too. But I'm getting fill material off the quarry. They call this 2RC fill. I don't know what that means, but basically it's like 2A, but it doesn't last as 2A. So this will just pack into really good fill, and it is very good for fill. So once we get enough rock staged out along the driveway here, I'm gonna start hauling more of this stuff in. We'll just stockpile it right here. I did cut the topsoil off this little spot, and we can just keep staging our fill material here. And then once we have all the topsoil cut off, we can start taking the fill material and putting it into that gully over there, putting it in nice lifts and packing it in really good. Because actually the back corner of the building is going to be over top of where that gully is right now. So we got to fill that in and do it right so the building doesn't settle. I have everything kind of laid out right now temporarily, and these pins are not accurate. I played around with a couple different layouts here. I had a layout worked out in my mind and on paper, but after actually putting the pins in the ground and looking at things, I think I'm going to cheat the building back about 8.5 feet this way. So not a big problem. All the topsoil needs stripped regardless. That does, however, put me a little bit more over top of this small gully right here, and that is a natural point for all the water to congregate. Obviously, that's why the gully's there. So ultimately we're going to end up putting an under drain in there, and the building is going to go on top of that. So we have to have everything done very properly. We have to cut it down to really nice hard virgin ground. We have to compact that. We're going to put down filter fabric, clean gravel, some perforated SDR35 pipe, wrap that in the filter fabric, and then we're going to put good fill on top of that and pack the whole thing together, because if we don't do this right, the building's going to settle, and I'm not going to risk that. Let's go strip some topsoil. Alrighty then, well it is the next morning here, and you can see we got everything stripped off yesterday. Turned out pretty good. It's supposed to be a beautiful day today, so we're going to try to get done what we can, but there is supposed to be a lot of rain moving in later this evening, and for the next couple days it's supposed to be nothing but rain. So what I really need to do today is make sure that this pad is sealed up and slicked off so that water doesn't lay anywhere and soften anything. So what I need to do is get a roller on this thing and seal it up, pack it all in, and maybe regrade it depending on how it settles out after we roll it. Those that follow the channel regularly will know I've been working on this big yellow roller over here. I have parts for it getting fixed right now, so it's in many pieces. We can't use it, even though that's the ideal thing to use for this. I've got the smaller red roller over there that I did some videos on a while back, and unfortunately I haven't used it in a while, and it's a bit small to do the deep compaction that I'd like to get on this pad, but it will work just fine for just sealing up the dirt to keep the rain from really penetrating it. So we're going to go ahead and throw a battery in that thing and see if we can't use it and do what we need to do here. Battery's getting a bit weak on me. So having the rubber tracked skid steer is better for most things, but actually I just had one heck of a time dragging that roller through this heavy mud. The Bobcat with rubber tires and the steel tracks over top of them would have actually done that a lot better. So for certain applications, the steel tracks do excel. So I think I mentioned earlier in the video that I'm not actually doing this job the ideal way. I'm having to work around time constraints, weather, and working on other things. So like I said, I'm just doing this however I can. So I hauled all the gravel when I had the time, and now I've got the time to do this stuff. So what I need to do though is be able to get in and out of the building, as well as use the elevation of the floor in there for when I shoot the grade for what I'm standing on. So we need to get some of this gravel out of our way now. So the first thing I'm going to compact is right here in front of the gravel, and I'm just going to double the width of the gravel pad for right now, and then we will work on expanding from there.
Alright, I moved all that gravel away from the building pretty much just so I could get the tractor out here and pull the roller with the tractor. A lot less wear and tear than using the Takeuchi. I'm also not running the vibrator on the roller at this point, because what I was finding is it was actually just bringing the moisture up, which it does do, and the ground's pumping a lot, so you don't even need to bother vibrating at this point, because you're actually going to do more harm than good. So I'm just static rolling right now, and that's just to seal up the ground for the rain here. All right, well, as you guys saw, I went ahead and compacted the whole area, got all that dirt sealed up for the impending rainstorms. I went ahead and pulled a couple string lines and some tape measures, and went ahead and remarked the corners of the buildings with the pins there. And we'll go ahead and fire up the transit now and check our elevations. There's going to be a good bit of fill down in that lower corner over here, and I'm itching to see exactly how much. All right, well, the first thing I did here is I pulled a string line. It's probably hard for you guys to see. Basically, all this is a string line that comes off flush from the inside of the red container there, and that's going to be the back of the building. So the back of the new shop is going to be flush with the inside of that red container. So from there, we have our lowest point. This will be the back left corner if you're looking at the front of the building, obviously the right corner, and then up there I have 2 marks for the front corners. Let's grab the transit here and see exactly how much fill we're going to need. All right, so with the transit running, we have to set a benchmark to be able to figure out our grades here. So I want the floor of the new shop to be the same elevation as the floor of the shipping container here, which is also the elevation supposed to be between the containers, but I actually never quite finished filling it up with rock. So anyway, our benchmark was 2 foot 1 inches, and then I subtracted a foot to find our subgrade, which is the elevation minus 6 inches of concrete and 6 inches of clean rock underneath the concrete. So we're looking for the elevation of just the fill material. So we subtracted a foot, and let's walk out into the pad area and see what we got. It's probably going to be hard for you guys to really see on camera, so I'll just call it out, but the distance between the bottom of the stick and the grade is how much fill we need in any given area. So in this spot we need right where I'm standing, that's how much fill we need. Right there. It's a lot of fill. We're not even quite halfway down the slope. There we're looking at like 2.5 feet almost of fill. Down here at the lowest point is where it's going to be the most dramatic. I'm 6 foot 2 inches tall. We need 6 feet of fill down here in this corner. That's a lot of fill. I think I better hire a triaxle to bring me some fill in here, because we're going to need a lot more of it than I thought. Yeah, so pretty much waist height, about 3.5 feet. Now obviously we could drop the elevation of the floor down to reduce the amount of fill that I have to put in here, but this front corner up here is going to show you why we really can't do that either. So the pin is pretty much right on subgrade. So if I were to drop the floor elevation, the finished grade of the floor would be almost flush with our road out here. And you really don't want to do that because you want to have everything sloping away from your building so that water doesn't make its way inside the building or settle around the building and really lay underneath the pad. That settling of the concrete pad, and that'll just give you all kind of headaches. So, you know, we got to do everything in our power to make this last as long as possible. You spend this kind of money on something, you don't want to do it twice. So the other problem I'm facing right now, is pretty much just due to the weather, I think, is called pumping. If you're not familiar with the term, pumping is on ground like this. When you have an open area and you're trying to compact it, you'll drive something over an area and you'll see the ground will actually kind of compress and then spring back up as you drive over it. And in the industry, that's called pumping. There may be other terms for it, but that's the only one that I really know. Basically though, you can't really build on something when it's pumping. You're setting yourself up for failure. That's not a good baseline. So there's a few different things you can do to correct for that. But in the face of impending rainstorms here, I can't really do any of them because they all involve opening the ground up and basically making a lot more dirt work here. So the cheapest and easiest thing to do to get rid of pumping would just be to let this thing set. We're coming into springtime here. All the trees are gonna start sucking up all the water out of the ground, which will help dry this area out, as well as it's just not gonna be raining as much or snowing and having water laying on it. So it'll just naturally start to dry out. And once the ground is drier, then we can do our better job at compacting this thing and getting ready for building. I have pushed back my builders. They were wanting to start like last week sometime, and I knew that this was going to turn into a lot more work than I had first anticipated, so I just told them to go ahead and push me off, and they're going to come back in another month or so, which I'm fine with that. That way I'm not under a serious time crunch now, because I knew there'd be a good bit of fill down there, but I really didn't think it was 6 feet of fill. So we're gonna have to bring in a lot more fill material than I thought, and we're gonna have to cut some benches into the ground, basically just open up a slot in the earth and compact the baseline, and then keep adding fill in, you know, 6 inches to a foot high lifts, they're called. So just layer by layer, putting in fill, compacting it, and add another layer, compact it, and so on until you reach your final elevation. So there's definitely a lot more work to be done here, but I just wanted to get a little update out for you guys. Everything I've been doing has been working on this thing, and as you can see, progress is slow going at this point. But I wanted to give you guys an update and see where we were, because I know there hasn't been a video in a little while. Anyways, guys, that's all I got for this episode. As always, if you liked the video, don't forget to smash that thumbs up button down below. That's another thing you can do to really help out the channel and doesn't cost you guys a thing. But as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.